what you're talking about is work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a lot of people that would tell you that, like, you can't really train character. So, like, you could train somebody, like, how to use Excel, how to program, how to code, how to whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, you can't instill a hunger or a drive in somebody.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but it comes from when you're a kid.
Yeah?
You know, it 100% comes from when you're a kid. You know, your brain's just so moldable into at that age. And so I'm only 25. You know, my brain's still moldable, and it will be for a long time. But you know, that drive and that little bit of want, you know, is instilled at you from, you know, definitely those early ages of going out and getting a part-time job, you know, doing the crappy work and stuff like that. But and as well, it all comes, that's all from your parents, you know, because I remember always stuck with me. My dad, like, he just used to say, I don't care what you do, but you won't be out on a building site, on a cold building site somewhere in Ireland, you know, during the winter time. It's lashing rain.
Yeah.
And you can't feel your fingers.
Yeah, for 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 years. That's not what I want for you. I don't care what you do, but you're going to be sitting at a desk.
Interesting. What did he do?
Daddy was a joiner.
So he was hard graphing, sore knees, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And so he was definitely, even though, you know, Mummy was definitely big. Like, we answered to Mummy.
Yeah, she's the boss.
She was the boss. But see, when it came to education and stuff like that, like, Daddy never had a education worth talking about. You know, dropped out of school at maybe, I don't know when, maybe 16, 17.
Yeah.
Never went to university or anything like that. But like, he was definitely the driving force behind get in. If you're not doing well in school, you know, you're going to have me to answer to.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Well, it's interesting. You see that a lot where parents, that's funny now, like, you know, my wee one's only 2, but like already I can start to see it so clearly. It's like something possesses you and you're like, I don't want them to experience the specific hardships that I went through.
Yeah.
And I think even in Ireland especially, there's like a whole generation of like farmers, construction workers, you know, hard labourers who are just like, I want something different for my kids, you know. What was your early part-time jobs?
But I just wanted to say, it's not that you know, there's loads construction and farmers and all that stuff, like, they're all needed, and there's such a requirement, and
100%.
it's not to like play any of that down, and there's some of the best paying jobs, you know, in the world right
especially now because there's fewer people who want to do that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
You know?
But I suppose, you know, your parents, it was a tough life, you know. It's probably a tougher life back then than it was now for them people. So that's just where it comes from. But part-time jobs,
or like early chores, all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. Part-time jobs. First ever part-time job was dishwasher in the back of a pizza place. They actually got me into. They thought I was going to be able to make pizzas. And, you know,
did you tell them you could make pizza?
No, I was only like 14. And they got me in, and it went from, okay, this cub is never gonna ever gonna be able to roll dough ever in his life. He does not have the capabilities. I was handless with it. I just couldn't. But it's like, one thing I've learned from that is, like, I can't roll pizzas and won't be a DJ.
Okay, yeah, there you go, yeah. But it's good to learn that early in life, isn't it?
But I can wash dishes, so I did learn that. And
nice.
Cut meat. I could cut meat.
Where was this?
This is in Cookstown. Cookstown, yeah. Then so that was my very first part-time job, and then I remember I worked in a bingo hall.
No way.
Giving out pound coins. I loved the bingo hall though.
Mate, tell me stuff about the bingo hall. There's got to be mad stuff there.
Old ladies smoke like chimneys, and they love bingo, and they're serious crack. That was actually, whenever, see, looking back on it now, yeah, I hated it at the time. I said, you know, you wanted to get in, get out, but see the amount of conversations you have with, you know, that generation. You look back on it with like real fondness.
Absolutely.
They were such good crack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable.
And if you can learn to get on really well with that demographic and charm them, it sets you up in so many areas in life going forward.
Oh
Like, because
yeah,
they're a tough crowd, but once you win their loyalty, amazing.
that's it. But again, I was in there for maybe 2 or 3 years, from I was like 15 to I was like 17, just giving out pound coins because I was never trusted in behind a till. You know what I mean? So, I was absolutely useless at that age, but I
Where
was
was
still made go to work.
where was the bingo hall?
Cookstown
Also
again.
Cookstown.
Cookstown again,
Love
yeah.
that.
Um, and then I worked in a pharmacy. Whenever I was like, from I was about 18 till I was like 20, 21, part time, even through university and stuff. The pharmacy was good as well, again, because a lot of that same demographic that was in the bingo hall were in the pharmacy, and they love the crack again. Especially because the pharmacy we were working in, it was always like two males maybe. The pharmacist was maybe a male on that day, and maybe there would have been one other male, and then the rest female. So like all the wee old ladies used to come in and it was just pure joyous.
Dote all over you.
Yeah, dote all over you. That was it.
It's good for your confidence as a young guy, isn't it?
Oh, aye. Great. Need every bit of it.
Mate, you do. You absolutely do. So tell me, not only are you, entrepreneur at Normal Baths, not only are you co-founder of an assistive robotics company, but you're also basically a convicted criminal.
Oh, aye, yep.
So tell me, what heinous crime did you commit when you were 7 years old? Was this also in Cookstown?
No, I'm from the Loop, which is a small village just outside Markerfeld.
Right.
So it's between Markerfeld and Cookstown, the Loop. So you could either go to Markerfeld for work or Cookstown. Those are the two big towns beside me. But yeah, I was asking my mum and dad last night about this. What do some people not know about me that's PG, and they told me this story, and I was like, I think I actually remember some of that. So they told me whenever I was like 7, they took me to the doctors, and I had like the shingles, which is like that rash like across your stomach and stuff
It's
like
like
that.
mad chicken pox.
Yeah, and the doctor said, it's brought on by like worry and stress and stuff like that. And I still don't even know a lot about the shingles. It's probably brought on by other things as well. But the doctor said it's like a worry and stress. And Mummy and Daddy were like, worry and stress? He's 7 years old. What could this
He hasn't
be?
even started rolling pizzas yet.
Yeah. And Mummy and Daddy said to me, are you okay, Conan? Are you worrying about anything? And Mummy says I just broke down, roaring and crying, and I told them that I'd flicked like a 2p coin up onto the roof of the primary school. And then like a few days later, this has been going on for weeks, like these shingles, and like I said, like a few days later, there's a leak in the roof or in the ceiling of the classroom, and I thought I had caused the leak. So that was me. That's what I was worrying about. Flicking a 2p coin. But it's not. It's just a funny story because I am a warrior.
Oh.
Like it's not as bad as it used to be, but I remember I'm always a warrior. Panic like crazy. I am not as cool, calm, and collected as you might think.
I would love to see like the VAR of like if that actually happened. It's like you flicking the 2p coin in slow motion and somehow like severing a huge hole in the roof.
That was it. I was the cause of the leak, and that's what I was worrying about for such a long time.
Isn't it crazy though? Like you do carry stuff so heavy when you're young.
Oh, 100%. Even when I always remember really distinct memory of whenever I was like young. We used to go and do loads and loads of sports, but like see if my mum was like maybe over 10 minutes late or 5 minutes late coming to get me, even I was with my wee brother and I would usually be with like a cousin or something like that. We always went to do these sport like basketball, swimming,
Did you
football.
play basketball?
Oh, whenever we were really
That's
young.
epic.
Yeah. There was a good wee, you used to call it playing for peace.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Scheme?
Peace players, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They used to run basketball sessions in Cookstown. Oh, we used to love it.
Class.
It was great because we played Gaelic as well. It was great for Gaelic.
Yeah.
But I remember coming out of them, and if Mum was like 5 minutes late, I would have been thinking. I remember even thinking like the worst.
Absolutely,
as a kid, like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. She's left me, or she's been in a car crash or something out there.
Yeah.
I was a real wee panic.
It's interesting. Like, I mean, there might be reasons why you're like that. It might just be the way you're like, I don't know, genetically made up. But I was reading something recently, and it was like I might butcher this, but it's like the CEO of Intel, and he wrote a book, and I think the title was something like "Only the Paranoid Survive," and he was talking about how actually. You kind of want the worrier on your team. You want someone who's going to be thinking through all the possibilities and maybe seeing something on the horizon and being a wee bit more highly strung than like the cool cucumbers on the team, because actually they can help protect your business and, you know, kind of bulletproof it from crisis and all. That's
really funny that you talk about that, because Rowan, my co-founder, who's the CEO of Bioliberty, so he's the face of Bioliberty, and he actually handed all of us that book, you know, it's sitting out my desk there, you know, how to get along with others, or
how to win friends and influence people, that one.
No, it's not that one. It's
anyway,
but it talks about, you know, the like paranoia, you know, actually not being something that you should be not ashamed of, but, you know, be something that you should see as nearly like a skill.
Yeah.
And I've actually seen that because I've realised that once I got a full-time job, I started to get these like really bad chest pains, and like not like a pain, but like a shortness of breath, and constantly just be going there all the time.
Yeah.
And then it would just go away, and then I went to the doctors and stuff about it, and they were like, oh, it's probably stress. And I was like, well, is it? And then, like, you know, months goes on and you start to realise, oh, there's that shortness of breath back again. But like at the same time too, I didn't get a great night's sleep last night because I was thinking about something, you know, it's maybe work related, you know, relationship related, and so it does before it gets out of hand, you know, and you're losing countless nights sleep on it. You know, I'm starting to get this shortness of breath, and I'm starting to realise, right, okay, I need to get that worry off my table, or I need to do something about it.
100%.
And so you start to, it's just like all about knowing your own body.
But you know what that is? Like, and very few people get this so early on. That's like, you know, if you're driving down the road and like a wee light comes on in your car.
Yeah.
It's just like a wee warning sign. And like, I think one of the best things you can learn is what are your triggers, or not what your triggers, what's your warning sign? You know what I mean? And you've got one that's quite tangible.
Yeah.
And so when you feel that shortness of breath, that tightness in your chest, it's a wee indicator for you to be like, what do I need to change? And that's amazing because it stops you from driving off the edge of the cliff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually do. Now that you say that, like I have those indicators. Because I have one big one. I don't have those. I've the shortness of breath one is one, and then I've one other one that's really, really strange. Not too sure if anybody else gets this. I get tingly feet.
Really?
When I need to sleep. If I need to go to bed, I get tingly feet. It's just like my feet will not stop. Like they are literally, I'll be like squirming them in my shoes.
Really?
I can't get rid of it. And I was just like, I need to go to bed.
And that's your body clock being like, go to sleep.
Clock, go to sleep. I was like, the only way I can get rid of that is by going to sleep. It will torture me. And you can keep it away for like, you know, half an hour, but then after that it's just like you need to sleep.
What?
So it's so strange because, and then I actually just recently asked Mummy and Daddy if they have this, because Ursula, my girlfriend, she's like, you're totally nuts. This is the strangest thing ever. She's just like, you get weirder by the day.
Keeps you interested.
I was just like, you know, I have never told anybody about this. Like, I get these weird tingly feet when I need to sleep. And I asked Mummy, do you have that? And I asked Daddy as well, and Daddy's like, no, you're a freak. And Mummy's like, yeah, I get that as well.
Does she have it?
Yeah, you don't get it, no.
Mate, you have to get me some research to show me why that happens.
I don't know.
That's
I honestly,
incredible.
it's weird, isn't it?
Are we talking like pins and needles? Are we talking like
it's
a numbness?
It's not sore.
Right.
It's not sore. It's just really like annoying. It's just you feel like you have to move your feet around in your shoes. You could be lying in bed and you're not going to sleep, and it's just like, that's so annoying. It's
so okay. Whenever let's say you're sitting downstairs, you're at a party, and the tingles come. When does it disappear? Like when you get into bed, does it subside, or will it tingle till you fall asleep?
Disclaimer: does not come when you're drunk. So
there you go. There's some sort of neural pathway there. Whoever's going to do a PhD on this subject, there's some useful information in there.
I've never got it when I'm drunk, but it only happens like a couple. Like it happens. It can maybe happen twice a week.
Yeah.
Or it might not happen for weeks.
It's like a sleepy spidey sense.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting one of these Whoop bands.
Yeah.
And was looking into them. I was like, wait, I don't even need one of them, right? I got my feet.
Oh my goodness. So it's assistive robotics. So you guys have invented a robotic glove.
Yes.
Have you thought about inventing a robotic sock that indicates when you get very tired?
Man, the possibilities are endless for this technology.
So how did you get into entrepreneurship?
Didn't mean to get into entrepreneurship.
Classic. Love it.
Which I think is just as equally good a story for anybody that's just getting on the career ladder, or it's just graduating, or it's equally as good a story as somebody who's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, because Ross, who actually started Bioliberty, and it was his idea. So where the idea comes from is, or where it came from, was Ross during COVID. Ross had an observation. His auntie had really severe multiple sclerosis, and he realised for lower limb weakness, there was all these different tools, walking aids, crutches, wheelchairs, even things like door handles and stuff like that, to help you, get about on your feet around the home. But whenever actually Ross's auntie lost the power in her hands, there was really nothing out there to help her regain any function, or delay any further function from from going from her hands, and that's where the idea came from. And Ross thought they could definitely do something to help with this. So I would say Ross had that inner drive to be an entrepreneur and start a business. He started Bioliberty, and then he got Rowan on board, and then they got Shay on board, and then they got me on board. How I got on board was the three of those guys already being a team for a few months. I studied product design engineering, and I was actually working for a really good company called Black Blinds.
Mate, I was in Macrofeld over the weekend, and I drove past them. Black Blinds I used to be a copywriter, so like writing slogans and stuff. Black Blinds was one of my first ever customers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
But they're an amazing business.
Yeah, really
Mate,
amazing
those
business.
guys are killing it. And it's literally blackout blinds, and they're doing numbers.
Yeah.
They're like one of those like mid-Ulster family-run businesses that are just printing gold bars.
Yep.
It's incredible.
They got involved in PPE and medical devices over the pandemic. That was just out of the likes of Cormac Diamond there, the managing director, just thinking.
Mate, you'll have to intro me to him. I'd love to do a podcast with him. I think he'd be class.
He is a great guy to talk to. He'd be great on the podcast. But yeah, I was working for them at the time and didn't really have. That's where I done my placement year with as well.
Epic.
But we graduated during COVID, and I had all these plans to go to America and travel, and I had interviews lined up with a few companies out in the Bay Area, San Francisco. COVID happened, didn't get that chance.
Raging.
And they was so lucky that Black I had a real fondness for Block, and they enjoyed having me, and they offered me a job during the pandemic when a lot of my friends couldn't get jobs. So I took that with open arms. Got back in there, and then Shay and Rowan and Ross, Shay came to me because me and him studied with each other in Queens. I didn't actually really know Ross and Rowan at all. And he said, we've got this idea, but we've no idea, and we're going to enter a competition here in Scotland. It's for 15k, but we need to bring this to life, and can you help us out? This was like on a Friday, and the competition application was due on the Monday. So I just worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday just to get something for them.
My goodness.
With absolutely no interest in getting involved.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'll do Shay a favour. And that's genuinely how it was. And then I didn't really know anything about startups at all. Like, genuinely, I'm serious, I hadn't a clue. And just one thing led to another. And got involved in it from there. And that's how my experience went. Had no intentions. I was loving life at Block. There's loads of opportunities going there, and there's loads of opportunities for really good career progression.
For
there.
sure, yeah.
I was working on a really good team, and just enjoyed the whole experience at Block. So leaving that job was a big thing. Leaving that behind, because it was such a good experience.
It's risky, isn't it? Because you've got the clear kind of progression, particularly because you loved it as well.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of stories. They're like, well, the money was good, but didn't really like my job. But you kind of had everything going for you.
Yeah, but I suppose we de-risked it a lot. Like, I'm not going to say we jumped into the startup. We were working on it nights and evenings for a long time, for about a year before we went full time. But for about 6 months of that year, we were working on a grant, and we submitted a grant proposal to Innovate UK, and we got it.
Epic.
So all four of us was able to jump into the business at the one time.
So that allowed you to cash roll your salaries, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So if somebody asks us when's the right time to go full time with a startup and stuff, we were very fortunate to get that grant.
Yeah,
and it's still funding our salaries to this day.
So smart.
And it'll be funding our salaries, I think, to next February.
But I tell you what, though, like, this guy I love, Seth Godin, and he talks about bootstrapping. And he's like, there's different types of people. There's like freelancers who just go out there and get their first client, and now all of a sudden they're a freelancer.
Yeah.
And then there's like the classic entrepreneur that like goes and raises money and then like gets investment and then runs that way.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of like people in the middle who they'll kind of treat it as a side hustle to start off with. They'll look at getting a wee bit of money into the business. They find a way to bankroll their salary before they go full time. And I think you're starting to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see a lot more of that, particularly as we're coming into kind of an economic time where maybe not as many people are looking to invest. But it's also smart because we've seen so many businesses rise and fall, getting big, massive amounts of investment and then just blowing their investment money, as opposed to, here, we are really making this work. We are super resilient as a team. We're lean, we're mean, and we know how to do this. And we know how to do this kind of on a bootstrap kind of way. Yeah,
but it does, it's probably one part we've experienced so much of the startup journey.
Well, you're like on the investor road too, aren't you?
Yeah, we're trying to raise around right now, but that is one thing that we are missing. Although we did work really hard in the business, morning and night around our full time jobs, for about a year, and it wasn't good luck. We got that grant. That grant was a lot of really, really hard work.
Absolutely.
For us to get. But that is, I still have a lot of respect for, the founders that, maybe have savings and they fund themselves for, a few months, to get themselves into the business and to get themselves working on it full time, because that's something that we, fortunately, we didn't experience.
But that word you use, de-risk, I think is everything. Like there is, it's like the classical, and it was even embedded in my question.
Yeah.
There's this idea that like entrepreneurs are these like mad risk takers that like just go and jump off a cliff, you know.
Yeah.
And I love, there's a local guy, Philip Bain. He does a lot of mentorship in that sort of world, and he's got a great thing where he says entrepreneurs are not risk takers, they're risk managers.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's really, really something that's overlooked in entrepreneurship.
That's 100%.
And that's where paranoia comes into it as well.
Yep.
You know,
and
you're looking at the different angles. You're making sure everything's okay before you make a leap that would leave you overly exposed.
yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, because when it comes, we're in a really intense period of product development and also raising money. That's our two big things in the minute: product development and raising our next investment round. And the team is sort of split in that way. You know, myself and Ross are currently heading up product development. Rowan and Shay and the team, they're heading up the investment round. So we're lucky to have four co-founders that we can split the team in that way, and all, you know, most areas of the business are getting driven forward at some. There are always
that's like your whole C-suite nearly, isn't it? That's amazing. I have not heard of a four-way co-found. That's great.
Yeah, there's not. I think there is. We've heard of a few more bigger teams in and around the Scottish ecosystem coming on board.
Yeah, cool.
But yes, sometimes investors, you know, question, you know, a larger co-founding team and stuff like that. But you have to play on why it works.
100%.
You know, you've got so many more hands to do so many more things, and you're making so much more progress than a single founder will.
And this is probably an inappropriate use of this term, but like I love that idea of sweat equity.
Yeah.
You know, and because you guys are founders,
Mm-hmm.
you've got skin in the game. You're going to be heavily rewarded for success of the business.
Yeah.
And to have four people that have that hunger, that drive, and the passion for the mission of the company.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just awesome.
Mm-hmm. But just going back to your point about, you know, de-risking, like entrepreneurs aren't risk takers. Genuinely, that's true, because what we're trying to do at the minute is commercialize soft robotics. And apart from food picking lines and manufacturing facilities, soft robotics hasn't been commercialized, especially not in the form of a medical device.
So let's set a wee bit of a framework. So you're talking about soft robotics, which is what?
So soft robotics is different to traditional robotics. Traditional robotics, you might think of, as soon as I say traditional robotics, you might think of, you know, heavy metal wires, you know, motors, cumbersome equipment. Your mind might think of a Tesla factory with all these big, massive industrial arms coming in and picking.
My noise goes to zzz, zzz,
yeah,
zzz.
Exactly. So soft robotics is different. This type of robotics they're pneumatic systems. They're lightweight. They're vibration free. You know, they're not as noisy. They're soft. They're much more like the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment there is.
Give me an example with the fruit picking.
So yeah, like they exist on fruit picking lines, because a soft robot, 3 tongs, say, and it goes to pick up an apple. It's not going to damage that apple as much as, you know, a metal prong would. If it picked up a piece of fruit.
I'm thinking, like, do you remember War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise? The tentacles that had like this.
Yeah. So what happens with our soft?
Oh no,
robots?
that's in The Incredibles. There's like a wee robot in The Incredibles,
yes,
and it's
yes,
got
yes,
like
yes.
the mad pinchers just like snapping necks.
Exactly.
Well, probably not because it's Pixar, but you know what I mean.
But what happens with soft robots when we inflate them, they bend. So that's sort of how we're doing it, placing soft robots on the likes of the fingers. When we inflate these soft robots,
what do you mean by inflate?
When we actually inflate them with air.
Yeah.
So when we pump them up, these soft robots inflate and they produce a bending force, and that bending force is what we're applying to the human anatomy, the hand, the fingers.
So that's it's the inflation and deflation of air that allows this soft robot to bend the way a finger would bend.
Exactly.
Okay.
And not only so, when the finger bends, we call that flexion.
Yep.
But when the opposite of a flexion is extension, and we can achieve extension in these soft robots by creating a vacuum inside them, so that the robot can go and it can produce a flexion force and an extension force, and that can allow us to do really cool things like rehabilitation and strength training of the hand. So that's what the main metric that we're able to monitor through the assessment capability is range of motion. So
Cool.
that's when it comes to hand therapy, range of motion is absolutely huge. And also we can detect the force output of the hand.
So what was number 2?
Number 2 is rehabilitation. So we can, because as I said, the glove can provide a flexion and extension force, we can, depending on what, how far along your rehabilitation pathway or your rehabilitation journey you are, we can provide varying levels of resistance to hand flexion. So we can create a vacuum in these soft robots, and that would allow us to do flexion training, just like you'd train your hand or train any muscle within your body. So that's the rehabilitation aspect of the glove, and also we can provide the flexion force on top of that, so you can train the extension area of your hand. So that's
so that it can go both ways.
Yeah,
you can train closing and you can train opening.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third area, so assessment and rehabilitation is where most of our energy is being focused right now. Third area that we will love to do in the future, and we can do. It's actually how the product actually started off, as being on us pitching it as an assistive device. But assistance is really hard to do because to provide assistance. So if you went to grab that bottle, what the patient would like is us to sense the intention to grip, and then the glove to provide an amount of force which helps them grip onto the bottle. But what's really difficult to do is actually the work on the sensors. So, because it's okay we've had good success with healthy hands and detecting the intention to grip by placing sensors in the forearm and activating our robots, but it's very, very difficult to do with somebody who has really poor muscle tone. Somebody who's just had a stroke. That's a totally different upper extremity.
Yeah.
It becomes exponentially more difficult to do. So assessment, rehabilitation, and assistance. Right now, we're trying to simplify the offering to ensure we get a product on the market within the next 12 months.
So kind of on that note then, for people listening, what are some of the potential ways that you could make money?
Some of the potential ways we would like to make money is through we actually see ourselves further down the line as a software company. Right now we're focused on building hardware, but alongside the glove we're actually developing a digital therapy platform, and that digital therapy platform is going to communicate with the hardware product. It's going to be we're going to be sending loads of data to that hardware product, and eventually we want to be we want to be predicting rehabilitation pathways. So taking a lot of the clinician input between visits. If you're an outpatient, you have 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks until you see your hand therapist or your occupational therapist. Your hand's going to progress a lot. Your rehabilitation is going to progress a lot in 2 weeks. Until you see that therapist again, there's probably more you could be doing, and we could potentially be we could be informing you how to do that, based on data being collected from loads of different users that are at various stages of their rehabilitation journey. Um, so so yeah, at the minute our just because of the regulation hurdles, our primary target market is the US.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we plan to get out there in the new year. So that'll be really exciting.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I like, this probably is like way outside the scope of like what you would want to do, but like there's so many things you could do with it.
Yeah, it's this whole the problem that we're addressing is the shortage of occupational therapists in the US, and by 2030, the supply of occupational therapists will never be able to meet the demand for occupational therapy, and that is the key problem that we're addressing here through this one hardware product. There's going to be a portfolio of products to come. We're not going to be looking at the hand. We're going to be looking at the elbow, the shoulder, the knee, the hip. Our technology is really scalable to larger areas of the body.
Boys will be going to CrossFit with all your products on and like flying up the pull-up bar. Yeah,
that's it. I could be using it. but yeah, that's the problem we're trying to address. There is going to be a real need for products like this that allow occupational therapists and physical therapists to do their job more efficiently and effectively, and allow them to see a lot more patients. And yeah, that's gonna we really think that's gonna be done through remote patient monitoring.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely see. It's not a great example, but like, even locally with like the state of like NHS GPs, people can't access, or I should say, people are struggling to access care in a time efficient manner.
Mm-hmm.
And in lots of other areas of life, technology has come in, outsourced various elements of it, created scalability, and it's really interesting that you're right bang in the middle of that space. So I think you guys are primed for an amazing opportunity.
Well, hopefully, and it's not to say I don't want to get any too much hate for us being a UK business and then going straight to the US with it, but we're a startup. If we were to pitch with the way healthcare markets are, and how hard it is to get devices like ours into the likes of the NHS, if we were to continue to pitch the business in that way, and we weren't to change our thinking, and we weren't to target the US market first, we would find it very hard to get the support we need to develop something like this.
Yeah.
So
you're always looking for the fastest path to market as a startup, aren't you?
Exactly.
And so probably the fastest way to get it into the Belfast GP is to go via America.
Yeah, that is the absolute strategy. It's for a healthcare product. It's a lot easier to get it into the hands of patients via the US, and it is but it's our absolute intentions to be within the UK and the EU very soon after we're in the US. So it's not to say we're neglecting that, or you're forgetting about your homies. It's just that's the nature of business.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So if we kind of go back to you trying to roll dough in Cookstown, growing up, playing Gaelic, having the crack, being worried about pennies on the roof. Did you ever? Well, obviously you didn't ever see yourself being in a space like this. You didn't see yourself being an entrepreneur. Like, what would you say to, I don't know, like the 13, 15-year-old in Cookstown? What would you tell them about this world? Because not a lot of people know about in here. Yeah. They don't know about Ormobas. They don't know about entrepreneurship. They don't know about tech.
Mm-hmm. I think what I would tell them kids and stuff is, number one, from my point of view, your friends' weird and wonderful ideas sometimes can think you can. Sometimes you might your friend could approach you and ask for help, like mine did, and yes, I thought the idea of Bioliberty was really, really wacky, and maybe in them first few hours that I was working on this thing, I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. But look at us now. It's no longer just a weird and wonderful idea. It's a business, and we plan to go on and employ people to work on this and grow it, and we plan to be around for much longer. So yeah, number one is never make fun of anybody's weird and wonderful ideas. If they need help, definitely give it to them. And so that's just based on my own personal experience.
There's an interesting bit in there, I think, too, how you don't always have to be the person to start. You don't always have to be the person to come up with the idea.
Yeah.
You ever seen that video? Oh man, if I could find it fast enough, I would show it to you. Of I think it's like Derek Sivers doing a TED talk, and he shows a video of like a crazy guy dancing, and then another crazy person joins them, and then like 2 or 3 people come, and then all of a sudden there's a whole crowd.
Yep.
The whole point of that TED talk, he says, the most important person is not the leader.
Yep.
It's the first follower. It's the people who actually get around an idea, or the people that make it viable. And I was like, whoa, that's epic.
Yeah, that is really cool, and that's totally true. You know, I've never had an idea to this day, you know, that I think would even be viable for a business. You know, and you're always trying to think of, you know, what will be ahead of Bioliberty. So you know, you've always got your mind on, you know, small things that okay, keep that in the back of my head. You know, that could potentially be a business one day once, you know, we're finished, you know, doing Bioliberty, if that time ever comes. But 100%, you don't have to be the person to start it. You just have to be the person that somebody else. You just have to be approachable. You know, if you are good at what you do, if you work hard and that's reflected through your work, you know, I'm sure there's probably a reason why Shay approached me. You know, he wouldn't have approached me if he knew that I was poor at what I do.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Very few people are blasting a Friday, Saturday, Sunday for a Monday deadline.
Yeah.
That tells you everything. It tells you everything I need to know anyway.
But, you know, there's the thing is of, like, Shay approaching me at the time, you know, you're going through university and stuff like that, and you're putting in the hard yards to go above and beyond, and you know, sometimes I did it as well. You just do enough to get by, but with things like I really loved, I didn't care about spending, you know, loads of time on them and really perfecting them because I enjoyed it. And don't let people around you think that that's a bad thing for you to spend, even though you're probably not going to distinguish yourself in terms of a grade, you know, going through university all that much to somebody who does the bare minimum. They'll still get by, you'll get by, so, you know, you'll probably end up getting jobs, but, you know, don't let that shouldn't deter you from wanting to really perfect your craft. And if that's, you know, reflected, if that's reflected as you're doing it to your peers and stuff like that, you know, people are gonna realize that, and they're gonna, like, if you're a coder, you're writing really really good code. I'm sure it's hard to distinguish yourself, you know, in that field of, you know, software engineering. There's loads of opportunities in software, and if you're in a class with 100 people, all it takes is for one person in that class to have an idea and to think of you as the person that could potentially help them with it. And then you're in a startup, then you're in a business. Then you know, things could be a lot different for you than working for somebody else. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely got the hand taken out of me whenever I was doing product design engineering. You know, crayon engineering as they used to call it. But I loved it. Yeah. And I wasn't afraid to love it. And that probably was one of the reasons why the likes of my friend approached me to give them help with that one area of the business. But that turned into so much more. So yeah, a very, very rambling answer there.
It's okay. That's what podcasts are for. It's perfect. What do you like about working here? Like, what has Ormo Bass done for you?
Ormo Bass has done amazing things for me. Number one is it's increased my motivation beyond what I would ever think, and that's just simply because you're it's cringy to say this and stuff like that, and I'm not saying this because I'm just on a podcast that's going to be on Orma Bath's probably website, in a few days' time. I'm saying this because, genuinely, you're surrounded by like-minded people in here, and there's a, and that goes a long way. You will not get the motivation from working in your bedroom than you will from, even though all these people are working on entirely different things to what I'm working on. When you see somebody with their head down, it makes you want to go and get your head down and get stuck into something. And also just that social interaction has been everything for me, because throughout COVID I was working a lot from home, and at the minute, I'm based in Belfast, and the three other guys I work with are based in Edinburgh. So until we grow the business and maybe something changes, I don't actually have a lot of colleagues over here.
Sure.
So a place like Orma Baths has allowed me to feel like I do have colleagues. I can come in and I can get my work done. I can have a chat. I've made friends here. That social interaction is absolutely everything. And probably, take it from me that it is everything, because I travel, 50 miles here every morning. And I could very, very easily sit in my bedroom.
Absolutely.
And I have a nice wee space in my bedroom, a nice wee desk and stuff, and it's grand. I still do work from home maybe a day a week or something like that.
Sure.
Maybe more than that on some other occasions. But there's a reason why I travel 50 mile here every day and 50 mile home. And it's because all those things I said. It's a very motivating space. It's also very social, just enough. It's not a pure Genshin match. You're not, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And also the opportunities that it's actually given us. Like we've met investors in here, and we didn't mean to. Never thought we'd ever. I'm telling you, we met an investor in here over pizza, and we were just. It was actually myself and Shay at the time. Me and him we were all working on the investment. About a year ago, we raised a very small, private, sometimes called a discovery round, sometimes called a friends and family round, and stuff like that. So we raised a small discovery round about a year ago, and we all four of us were sort of trying to get money in through hook or by crook to support with the grant that we had got. And me and Shay, I remember one afternoon there was like pizza being served in the baths, and there was a load of dominoes in, and me and him were like, oh, it was that late in the afternoon, and we were just like, oh, it's been such a shit day, that was such a shitty call, that didn't go well and stuff like that there. And then this guy came up to us that sort of knew us in passing, and was like, oh, do you want me to take a look at that? And like, I've got pizza hanging from my mouth. I'm scoffing a pizza down into me. I'm in trackies and a t-shirt and a jumper, and not prim and proper as you think you would need to meet an investor. Tomato sauce all around the face, and then next thing he's leading our discovery round.
Mad.
Which is absolutely mad, and he's been probably one of the best investors that we could ever have asked for. Like that's and we did not expect that, genuinely. Like, we didn't come here to meet investors and stuff like that. Yes, sometimes there's events and things like that, and you have the opportunity to talk to people like that. But did I think I was going to meet him at 3:00 on a Friday afternoon with a pepperoni hanging out of my mouth? No. So I'm not saying to everybody you're going to have that same experience in here.
No, for sure.
You put yourself in an environment like that, you open up opportunities for yourself. And I've definitely, I could take the easy way out sometimes and sit in my bed at home and think, I'd be better off just working from home. I could work from home and get lazy and work from home a lot. But when you put yourself in an environment like that, you don't know what the day is going to bring.
So true.
Alongside your normal work.
So true. Most challenging moment so far?
Most challenging moment with Bioliberty.
You can go personal life if you want.
I think I'll go Bioliberty because I think a lot of entrepreneurs will have this similar experience. at some stage when they're doing their startup was us realizing that there could be a potential for our product within a different industry. And I'm not going to say what that industry is because it's irrelevant and we're no longer chasing that. And also, if we want to come back to it, I don't want to give somebody the idea.
Smooth operator.
But that industry was made feel like to us that it was, well, it was never made. It was never pushed on us. But there was at one stage we realised that industry could potentially is a larger industry than what we're in, and it's this big shiny crystal ball, and we should chase that. We should stop doing what we're doing here, and we should chase that. If we pull it off in that space, the returns are so much better for us. But I remember like at the time half the team was like, yeah, let's do it, and then the other half of the team was like, no, like I think we need to think this one through, and some difficult conversations to have among co-founders, but we had to strip it back to why we all got involved in the first place, and realize like what was our purpose for starting this company. Will we be satisfied? Will we be satisfied if we go chasing that industry and it doesn't? We say we don't pull it off, and you go chasing that crystal ball and you never get to it. How angry will you be with yourself?
Yeah.
If we pivoted, we changed our vision, we changed our purpose. I think that's the cool thing about a medical product. If we're chasing it in the medical field and we're trying to improve patient outcomes and genuinely help people, like, we can say, if we fail, we can say, you know what, we give it our best and we had a really cool purpose and we genuinely wanted to help people, and that's really fulfilling. It sounds cringy to say that, but that is fulfilling, other than trying to chase another crystal ball.
Well, it's not cringy at all. It's like, start with why stuff. It's like life purpose, life vision territory, and that's that's your drive, that's your engine.
But something like that has the potential to split up a co-founding team.
Oh yeah.
Like, and we all had to sit down with each other and say, like, what was your purpose? And even though my purpose is different to Ross's, so say Ross's purpose was to help people like his auntie, improve patient outcomes for people with multiple sclerosis, stroke victims and stuff like that. He had a really cool purpose. He still does. My purpose for getting involved with Bioliberty was, maybe not exactly that. I love the idea of, improving patient outcomes and helping people, and that's something that we strive to do every day. But, one of my main purposes is to employ people within the UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
Employ local people to work within a startup, put money on the table for these people, like how I hope to do for myself and my family.
Yeah.
And grow ourselves within an industry that people from Northern Ireland are not usually known for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my purpose. But can me and Ross get the same fulfillment out of Bioliberty for our different purposes by continuing in the direction that we're doing?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Could we have got it from going in a different direction right now? Maybe one person could have got it, another person might have got it.
That's really, really interesting. Yeah. So like the motivation or the fuel can be different, but if it's all going in the one direction, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's really, really cool. What would you say has been the proudest moment so far, or the most successful moment?
Proudest or most successful moment? Oh my God. Typical thing with entrepreneurship, you never stop and try and think of, like that was a success, and you never get the chance to reflect on that.
If you even, feel free to even zoom out, just across your life in general, like, what are you proud of?
I was really proud of us going full time with the business.
Yeah, man.
Like I don't think there's ever going to be a feeling like that. You know, maybe again. Hopefully there is. Hopefully there is, like this investment round that we're raising right now. You know, we're doing great things and we've got great momentum. And I'm sure if once we do this raise and we all have jobs to keep for another 2 years, like I'm sure that'll be a really cool feeling. But I genuinely do remember that whenever we went full time, and Rowan had got the email through from Innovate UK, and we had got awarded the grant, and it was just like no way, like that's not wise. And you know, like like I think your family and stuff like that at that early stage, they can definitely, they appreciate what you're doing and they appreciate how hard it is to do that. Whereas maybe now when we're raising investment and we're doing all these things that are really business specific, you know, it's hard for them to quantify how much of a success what we're doing now is. But for us as 24-year-olds to go full time with a business, you know, a lot of people around you can quantify that success.
Yeah.
You know, the older generation who aren't as familiar, like my mum and dad, with how investment rounds work like that, you know, once we raise investment and things like that, they're not going to be able to quantify how good that is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's an interesting point.
So I think like that was a lot of, we went out for dinner with family and stuff like that there, and you know, like there was wee bottles of prosecco and all bought, and like that was really cool. Like look back on that with like really fond memories. So
That's
yeah,
great.
but I always say to the guys, we with Bioliberty, it's so funny because we don't get a lot of wins. When we do, we get big wins.
Yeah.
But we don't get a lot of them big wins along the way.
There's
Look, you see some companies.
no daily dopamine hits.
Yeah. Well, we always try to tell each other, like, you know, like that one wee tiny engineering problem that you're that you've been working on for maybe a week, 2 weeks, and you've figured out, or that engineering problem that usually in my case I'm working on for 6 months and finally get finally get to the bottom of. Like we remind each other, like, you know, don't underestimate like how fulfilling that, you know, that is.
Yeah.
Because that hit of dopamine that you're getting from solving that engineering challenge, as it usually is with us, or you know, that really good conversation that went with a potential investor, that hit of dopamine is going to be probably the exact same hit of dopamine that you're going to get from closing a big investment round on the day. Like that's like that is, I think that's very true. Like, you know, and you always hear it you listen to more podcasts and you always think, you know, you hear about people going to the Olympics and things like that, and you know, achieving massive things. You know, I was listening to Louis Pearson, you know, on your podcast there during the week, and he was talking about going to the CrossFit Games, but you know, I think like my take was from him was, you know, like he got a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment throughout his entire journey, as he did from, you know, arriving on the scene at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think that's for true with like sports people. I think it's definitely true with business people as well.
It's people who build stuff and who are getting after stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't enjoy the grind,
you're not going to make it.
If you don't enjoy the grind, you're not going to make it. Like you 100% aren't. And when you actually do make it, it's going. We haven't made it, and I don't know what that actually looks like. But from listening to enough people now and listening to too many podcasts, you know, it sounds like when you do make it, if you haven't enjoyed the ride, it's not going to be all it's made out to be.
It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it. Well, you've got 100 miles a day, so that's plenty of podcast time. Like, that's good.
That actually is. I actually wouldn't change that. You know, like I wouldn't change that 100-mile a day journey. Yeah, I wish diesel price was a wee bit cheaper. But see that 100 miles a day that I'm doing up and down. See being able to take that and just listen to like 2 podcasts a day. You know, 30, 45 minutes. So it's everything. Like,
it's an education.
Oh, it's an education.
Like,
and gives you the time to clear your head as well. You know, and think about, not all the time, because sometimes you just can be bored thinking about work. But like it gives you time to be like, okay, I'm getting in what needs done first. So it does. So, and some people swear by that as well.
Oh, why?
By like, yeah, you should live like 30-minute commute away.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've definitely felt that. I actually enjoy the commute.
I take the bus into work
Yeah.
intentionally. It slows my day down quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Gives me a very clear like start and end point. Do you know what I mean?
How long's your bus?
I mean, I'm getting into work under an hour.
Yeah. That's a pretty long commute though.
Yeah.
Like, it gives you a lot of time to either just chill out with, like, you have a kid,
Yeah.
you have a wife, so just chill out, you know, in your own personal space. Same time, it gives you time to set up.
Yeah,
or,
before you
or
open
wind,
the front door.
or wind down.
100%. And, you know, I like it because it builds in, you know, because the bus itself is maybe like 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like the walks, you know, the walk to the bus, the walk from the bus to here.
Yep.
Sometimes the bus is late, da-da-da-da-da. And I like that. It slows me down. And I think that's important whenever you're in quite a fast-paced working environment as well, you know.
Yep. And it in here is fast paced.
It is, yeah.
So it's as fast paced as you want it to be.
Yeah. Oh, but it's a drug, like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's class.
What advice would you give to an 18-year-old version of yourself? Wrapping up.
Advice to an 18-year-old version of myself. Never been asked all these questions before. As I said, I am not the face of Bioliberty. Hey, Rowan Armstrong is, and I shouldn't be doing these podcasts. 18-year-old version of myself. That's really hard. Just like work hard. And I know everybody says it, but nothing's gonna get handed to you. And if you think it is, you're the bigger fool. So you have to work hard. Nothing in life is worth having without, you know, nothing in life that you didn't work for is worth having. And I'm enjoying where we're at right now. You know, sometimes you wish things are different, and you know, sometimes you wish you had bigger salaries. Sometimes you wish, you know, you did more traveling. Sometimes you wish all these things, but like, if you had it all given to you, you know, you would never appreciate it. And there's a reason why you work hard for things. Like, those things are going to be wee rewards that you get along the way for working hard.
I saw a thing, I think it was from Jocko Willink, is that guy's name? And he was saying something like, there's a lot of free dopamine out there in the world. He's like, don't take it. He's like, if you want dopamine, go out and earn it, because it'll feel so much more worthwhile if you do it that way as opposed to taking a quick wee, you know?
100%. But yeah, and I don't think that's like I don't think I've actually done anything different to that. You know, working hard was something that was always instilled in us. I was never the smartest of people, so I had to work hard through like school and stuff to get any grades that we did get, or I would have failed miserably. And I don't think I have worked hard, but you know, I'm trying to think of what else you would tell 18-year-old self. Definitely like read more though. I'd say read more. It's something I'm trying to pick up now. I don't read enough. I would have liked to have been more aware of entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem than what I am now. I definitely than where I came from. Obviously,
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have a clue before I got involved with Bioliberty, but I should have been more aware of it. You know, read more and get involved in more, you know, weird and wonderful workshops that your friends probably take the piss out of you for doing.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be the engineering society, you know, whether it be, I don't know what it is, but maybe do a little bit more outside of sports, and that could be like, you know, reading more and having the confidence to go up and like talk to entrepreneurs and things like that. Entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, mind you, but I think now that I never thought it'd be for me, and now that I've got a taste of it, I don't think I'd want to do anything differently.
Absolutely.
So yeah, work hard, read a bit more, talk to some more people.
Love it. Mate, those are three bangers.
Not that I need any excuse to talk to anyone.
Well, I've enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun and really insightful as well. There's a wee bonus question I like to ask people. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. First thing that comes in your head, never say, what's the kindest thing someone's ever done for you?
First thing comes in my head, kindest thing. I'm really bad on the spot. I'm not too sure, man. I'm really not sure. I'm thinking of loads of things right now, but trying to get one out is pretty difficult. I remember I had an old boss, like my old boss. He helped me through a tough time, and he had no right reason to, personally. Literally wild weird thing. Like I just blurted it out one day, and didn't realize how much of an issue it was until I started speaking about it. And once I spoke about it, totally changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah, don't want to say what it is.
All good.
So that because don't want to like disrespect anybody. But like I remember that. Remember that pretty well.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing. Like men need to speak a bit more.
Well, that's the thing, and I think, I know certainly in my life, I come from a background like suicide survivorship and a bunch of other stuff, addiction, and I think that the pain you have in your own life, particularly earlier on, is an opportunity for you to be there for someone similar later on in your life. Because you think about the hard things that you've gone through, you would have loved nothing more than for someone to step in and do something. And even this boss, whatever they did, you have the opportunity to do that now for the guys that come next,
Yeah, but see, the thing is, whenever whenever you're in that like headspace, you never think like you actually need help.
Yeah.
And you never think of actually needing to ask for it, or you never think it will actually help if you tell somebody. If you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I'm not too sure if you've experienced that yourself, but for whatever reason it blurred out that day, and being able to talk to somebody about it really helped.
Incredible.
Yeah, so that there was one. I'm sure there's probably loads of kind things that people have done for me, and I'm not too sure there'll be many of my friends listening to this, but if you have done really kind things, it's just that all the way head.
Yeah, don't be slobbering later. Conan, mate, love this.
Yeah,
Thank you so
really
much.
cool.
Yeah,
Really
loved it,
cool.
man. And thank you so much for everyone listening.